So welcome in. Thanks for the time. This is kind of like an annual visit for you. We appreciate you having the time to spend with us.
I was saying to Josh Allen, we were doing our annual training camp chat, and it's one of those things where you turn your head, for now, it's you look at your phone, you're looking for an old picture, and you go, wow, this is 8 years of this thing. This is nuts.
It's wild. So let's begin here, just with today. I know you're trying to pick the brains of people because you kind of drop yourself in, and then you're before you know it, you're bouncing out and you're off to another place. Just some of your thoughts about today's practice. Obviously, Taylor Rapp had a nice day with 3 interceptions, but how about Josh's touch and layering of throws today? I mean, I know he's had a couple of picks, but just elite level layering and touch today, it just seemed from him.
Agreed. It's interesting talking to him. It was actually sort of off camera. We were just catching up about where he is physically at 29 years old and what have his off-season priorities been. Where does he like his weight to be? And he made I said, you look leaner. You look, in terms of body composition, a little bit different. Granted, they're not wearing pads, so that always makes everything look a little slimmer. But he was making the point, and it reminds me of the Brady years down the stretch where it's like he's all about the pliability up here and just the elasticity of it, and you can see that in the way that he now throws the ball. It's like he's here, and it's just here, and the ability to layer from that and to generate different velocity trajectory with not a lot of movement and not being so tight and all muscled up, but have that sort of snap in the muscles, whatever it ends up doing. It looks good and it works.
He even had a sidearm throw, Maddie, and I saw he drops the shoulder, does a sidearm throw to fit it through a crack on a check down to a back. It was
insane.
I always think when they don't have the shoulder pads on, I do think it allows them to really kind of.
That's a good point.
Because you don't have, even as small as they
are
not
now, encumbered by
they're not as encumbered by it. But he looks dialed for sure.
In addition to that, what's the biggest takeaway that you took from your conversation with Josh Allen today?
I just love where his head's at right now. He seems to be in a really good place. Now, you could argue, why wouldn't he be in a good place? He's 29 years old. He's seemingly going to be part of this organization for the entirety of his career. He's making more money than anybody could ever imagine. He just got married. Things are in a good place. But I also think the flip side of that, and you guys live and breathe this every day, especially from your fans, there's this you would think maybe this angst of like, man, this has got to happen. I've got to break through. I've got to get to a Super Bowl. I've got to win a Super Bowl. It means nothing if I don't do that. He actually referenced the Scotty Scheffler comment ahead of the Open Championship about perspective. And it was in reference to me asking him some form of how do you handle what is a feeling of I've done everything I can do and I still can't get where I want to go and where everybody wants us to go. And he just seems in a great place. I don't want to say at peace with where they are because there's still the competitor in them. But that recognition, and I think we can all feel this because we're around athletes and teams every day, it is truly, I don't want to say a crapshoot, but there's just a reality that you can do everything and it might not happen. So the sooner you get on board with that, both positively and negatively, the more sanity you'll have.
Yeah. There's a maturity to him that I think is a little different now that he's entering his, eighth season. And there's a little more zen in there too. Like he's just kind of at peace. And, I think he's a happily married man, and I think that has kind of influenced his, maturity and just he's quite literally settling down just with everything, his game, his life. So, and I think that puts him in a very good place headspace-wise, for the next season of football. James Cook spoke yesterday. I'm sure you saw a lot of what he had to say. It feels like he would like to continue his career here. I think he feels and recognizes what an asset it is to be in the same offensive backfield as Josh behind a top 5 offensive line in the league. He knows that benefits him. But I think in the same breath, he also knows this is probably my one best chance to make life-changing money, the second contract. And it almost seems like it's put him in a bit of he feels a little torn just listening to him yesterday.
Agreed, but I think he's handling it in a way that you would hope would be rewarded, not just because of the performance and the value to the organization, but for a team, and you all live and breathe it every day, seems to value the mental side, the commitment, the character more than maybe any other team in the league, you can't ask for more when it comes to a contract situation, dispute if you want to call it, where the player not only is in attendance but fully committed from a practice standpoint. The unfortunate thing for us is that we just don't know exactly. I know there's reports about what numbers he wants or what he has said he wants, and we don't know exactly what has been offered. My hope would be that that gap, while to us would be astronomical money, when you get into the tens of millions, a recognition to all the things you laid out, one of the best offensive lines in football, one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, an offense that is absolutely humming, bring everything back, that values you, that, if it were me, would make up for whatever proverbial gap would be in the money that I would want, where not knowing that money even exists anywhere else.
Not to mention the fact that he's only played 45% of the snaps the last 2 years. They have a 3-man rotation that they like a lot. And every indication is that's going to continue. Now, James has expressed that he would like to play more on third down, but I still think Ty Johnson's going to be on the field. And if I'm the Bills, put him at wideout. Like, he can run routes.
That's true.
Like, at the end of that Chiefs game in the AFC title game last year, he's not on the field the final 2 minutes because they're in hurry-up 2-minute drill mode, and Ty Johnson's on the field, and there's no James Cook, who was – he and Curtis Samuel were arguably the 2 biggest difference makers besides Josh on the offensive side of the ball in that game. Split him out wide. Get him on the field. He was a problem. The Chiefs had no answer for him in that game. It was troubling.
And when talking about running backs, it's an interesting conversation because every team is going to place a different type of value on a running back. Joe Brady, Buffalo's offensive coordinator, was asked about that value, and Brady said, look at our offense last year. We value the running back. James Cook had 16 rushing touchdowns last year. When you watched this offense, how much is James Cook a part of what they're trying to do?
He's a huge part because, in my opinion, they don't have right now a proven alpha like the ball, and you guys lived it for all those years with Diggs, where in a moment of we got to have it, here's our guy. That creates a nervous energy because it's who's our guy, but it's also a positive, and I think you saw this last year where defenses aren't sure who that guy is. The 2, or I should say 3, because Shakir proved he could do it in a consistent form. Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir, and James Cook, to me, are your 3 got-to-have-it players in moments. So I don't know if that deems him from a running back perspective, but I would want that if I'm, 1, Josh, 2, Joe Brady, Sean McDermott, who's running the whole thing. It's like he, to me, has proven that he can be we got-to-have-it player, and you need to have as many of those as possible. I think the Bills have 3 capable of doing it, and he would be right there with Kincaid or Shakir.
The big equation in changing the fortunes of this team and helping them get over the hump is obviously sitting on the defensive side of the ball, where they made heavy investments, as we've discussed with you before. The challenge now is not only pulling all those new pieces together, but doing it knowing you're going to be without 2 veteran pickups in Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi for the first 6 weeks of the season out on suspension, which means they're likely to rely on more of the young players that they added through the draft. This is a great player development staff and has been over the years, but that's a big ask for that front half of the schedule there through the middle of October.
No doubt. I mean, just think of week 1.
Yes.
You're going to have to deal with everything that Lamar and they do offensively to disguise, and then Derrick Henry's right there to run it down your throat, literally and figuratively. Look, it seems, and I know Maddie and I were talking during practice, it seems like every year I come out here, at least in recent years, and the big question mark is this defense going to take that next step? What version can they be? Is this the year where the pass rush is more dynamic? I know, and I'm telling you things you all know, and I'm sure your viewers and listeners do as well. Statistically, there's moments of exactly what it is you're looking for.
Yeah.
I think it's more, what is this group down the stretch? And I think last year was injuries. This year it will be the start without those 2 guys. Excuse me. But you would hope that player development, and I think we see this early in the year on both sides of the ball. If there's an area that you have more continuity and chemistry, and in this case, a quarterback like Josh, you're going to have to lean on him. Like this defense is going to have some growing pains early in the season. I think that's a fair characterization to make.
I got one last one before we go. You cover the NFL as a whole. How do you stack the big three up against each other in the AFC? The Bills, the Ravens, and the Chiefs right now.
Man, pick your poison. I'm good with any of those three. I think you have to allow for the fact that the Chiefs have owned this conference in a lot of ways for the most part. So until they're knocked off, they deserve to have that top spot. I think all three are interchangeable. I think the larger, interesting, and fun conversation is it's so clearly Baltimore, Buffalo, and Kansas City. And then to me, it's a next three of Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Houston. And then it's like this real severe drop-off. And you could argue that those next three, it's a pretty heavy drop-off from Buffalo, Kansas City, and Baltimore. And in my time doing this, I can't – and I'm sure I could – I mean, I just think of the New England years and all those things. To have three, to your question, Maddie, where it's – they really do feel like any three version of those three can pop out of the AFC, and it would totally make sense. It's oddly fun and kind of a boring conversation in late July because you never want to rush away a football season.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to rush and just see what happens.
Just fast forward to that.
December and January and see what happens, how those three sort out. And I always, maybe I'm just a sucker for when it's right. But, man, when Burrow, Chase, and Higgins got it going, and if that defense can just be – you talk about like a defense in Buffalo that's going to have some growing pains and needs to take another step. If Bengals defense is just serviceable, that to me is a team that is going to be primed and ready.
At this point, I don't even know if that's a possibility right now.
Without Henry.
Some of the mess that they have.
You said they have to score 40 points a game.
I think they have to score like 40 a game to win more than they lose. Because they scored 30 points a good number of times last year and lost.
I was I lived it being on the sideline for a lot of their games, but it was helpful to rewatch that quarterback show and watch what Burrow went through in that offense.
He had over 40 touchdown passes, right? 43, I think.
They're losing games to your point, in the high 30s, and it was wild.
Yeah. Evan, thanks for the time.
Absolutely.
As always, hopefully we get to see you down the line here in the regular season. I know you only get your assignments piecemeal, 3 or 4 at a time. So,
well, if you guys are in that 1 o'clock window, it doesn't happen as often as it used to.
We don't have as many as we used to. You're right about that.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, hopefully we see you down the line.
We'll
Appreciate the time as always.
Thanks
for that.
Great
That's Evan
Washburn,
NFL on CBS Sideline Reporter.